and I see about 30-35 people here. And how many of you are from outside India? Quite a lot. And which countries? Sri Lanka.
Nepal.
Afghanistan.
Bangladesh. Nepal. You gentlemen?
Bangladesh.
So all the South Asian countries on this call. So it's my pleasure to talk to you all. Yes, my name is Srinivasan. People call me Chinu. And what I was told was that I should talk for 1 hour. I think it's a long time until you go to sleep. It's a tea break also. But we can ask me questions anytime, break times, etc. What was suggested to me was 1 hour, then some questions, and then they say second presentation on patents. And afterwards, that is also about an hour, and then questions. Then I think sharing of experiences. Let us see how it goes. I didn't even not like to speak for 1 hour because I think it will be tiring for you to hear. All right. This is my topic for the first session, and why we have been, as he said, we have. I'm part of a group of people called All India Drug Action Network, and People's Health Assembly movement, and also Medico Friends Circle, etc. These are national networks which have been active for the last 30 to 35 years, and our focus has been that to bring in this access to healthcare point of view. Because I do not know about Sri Lanka, I know it's a very good healthcare system compared to India. And Bangladesh has got a very good drug policy. The architect, Dr. Jawaharlal, is a good friend of ours. But in India, and we are trying to, instead of copying Sri Lanka or copying France or Sweden, in fact, Bangladesh health indicators are better than ours. And so we are copying United States of America, which is totally rubbish because the world's richest country has the comparatively the poorest healthcare system, and it's totally based on insurance, and if you can't get insurance, you're finished. And so I think it's a mess. America is a mess in terms of healthcare, and a little bit Obama tried to do. There was a big protest, and they're trying to misinterpret him and so on. It is in this context we have been working for the last 35 years. And one of the things we have been working is pharma policy issues, medicines. I know medicines cost a lot, and it forms about anything between 50 to 80% of any healthcare costs. 50% in, 40% in inpatient, and 80% OPD, outpatient. So if medicines are costly, and you will think twice before going to a doctor, because you can buy those medicines. So this is an unfortunate thing, and we are going to discuss issues around this, and also courtesy Human Rights Law Network. We are fighting a litigation case in what is called public interest litigation in the Supreme Court of India for the last 10 years. And we have had various experiences, and we have made some small advance over the 10 years. But the case is still going on. It was heard about as late as August 5th. Now, some definitions. You know these definitions? Generic medicine, you heard. Generic means drug out of patent. Patent means if I have a patent on a drug, only I can make it in the market, nobody else can. If you do anything with the drug, you have to ask me. As long as the patent is enforced.
Incorporeal right.
Incorporeal right, yeah, in a way, yeah, right. So in India, patent is for 20 years, and now as per TRIPS patent, if you join TRIPS and WTO, it has to be for 20 years. And in India, the patent, the 20 years calculation is from the date of filing for the patent, not to the date it is awarded. So the date of filing can be 2005. And the date to actually get the patent because you had to examine it should be 2010. But the date is counted from 2005. And normally in India, when you say generic, we mean drugs out of patent, and which are also sold in their what is called chemical names. It's not correctly described to say its chemical name. It's called INN, International Non-Proprietary Name. Now, for example, for aspirin, everybody is familiar with aspirin. The chemical name is acetyl salicylic acid, CH3COOH. That's the formula. And the international non-proprietary name is aspirin. So we use aspirin. But it is also sold in India as brand names, Dispirin, and so on and so forth. Then it becomes a branded generic because it's a brand, and it's also a generic because it is out of patent in India. We'll talk about patents a little later. So this is the broad definition because I want you to be clear what we're talking about. And this is figures of India's pharma industry, and total sales is 72,000 crores. I think everybody is familiar with the term crore. So because in India it's used, I think in South Asia, every crore means 10 million or 100 lakhs. One followed by 7 zeros is crore. So exports are under 65,000 crore. So totally our production in this country is about 1 trillion rupees. More than 1 trillion. One followed by, trillion is one followed by 12 zeros. So we are called the pharmacy of the third world, pharmacy of the developing world, etc. And most of the medicines to Africa, AIDS medicines come from India. UNICEF, we are the largest supplier to UNICEF worldwide, and 80% to 70% of UNICEF Unipack medicines are bought from India, and so on. We are third or fourth largest by volume. Volume means amount of tablets, capsules you make, and 13th by value in terms of rupees. So, and Brazil buys a lot of medicines from us. Now, but within our country, the situation is terribly different. Only we are making medicines, they call pharmacy of the third world, and so on. Within a country, we are, most of the people don't have access to medicines. That's an unfortunate thing, because we don't have a very good public health system like Sri Lanka. And so people go and buy medicines from private practitioners, and these private doctors are not there everywhere. We are a big country, so we have private doctors in cities, but in about 70 to 80% of people live in rural areas, remote areas. There are no doctors there. That so-called quacks and so on, or people are not trained in modern medicine. So, so it's a shame. I mean, after 65 years of independence, we don't have access to medicines for people. We are supplying to the world, but our own people don't have access. And part of this presentation will examine why it's so. Now, healthcare is the second most leading cause of rural indebtedness, even urban actually. I mean, the person gets sick in the family, goes to the doctor, doesn't have money, they like to sell their buffaloes and cows and land, etc. This is a typical situation in India, mostly, for 70 to 80% people. So we have no universal health insurance, we have crumbling public health system, and the first choice of patients is a private practitioner, which means more out-of-pocket expenditures, apart from loss of wages, etc. In UK, in the public health system, British national health system, if you are a wage labor or anybody, and if you don't have to pay anything. If you go to the hospital and you're sick and consent, but this British national health system will pay you. Why? Because you have lost wages that day and you had a transportation cost, so they'll pay you for it. So it's completely topsy-turvy. When you get sick, you get paid because you attend the hospital, etc. But in India, it's not so. Nobody pays you anything. You have to pay out. And that is why this whole rural indebtedness occurs. The first leading cause, which I have not said here, is our social practices like dowry, marriages, and debts, where people spend a lot of money. And nowhere in the world we have so many brands, 100,000 brands, of about 800 to 1,000 molecules. And study the low cost. It's low cost is the organization where I work, where we make medicines actually. 50% of top selling medicines are not in the national list of essential medicines. We got a thing called national list of essential medicines. We got 348 drugs in it. And we have many unnecessary drugs. So the Steve's for me?
Yeah.
Excuse me. I don't mind. And we have a lot of unnecessary drugs. There's an organization called IMS, International Market Services, I forget the name exactly. They produce statistics every month of top selling drugs, etc. Our number one selling drug is a useless drug. Number two selling drug is a useless drug, which is Corex and Fencidin. These are for cough syrups and some other kind of thing. And it is not even used at all, but I'm told it is exported to Bangladesh, because it contains alcohol. And in one of the states called Mizoram, there's total prohibition. And people are predominantly Christian. And they have prohibited alcohol consumption. And but this Corex and Fencidin is sold a lot. Because people think, this is how people get into useless habits, because there's alcohol in it, we drink the medicine. And we have a lot of unnecessary drugs like ginseng. One of the top selling 10 drugs is Revital, which contains ginseng. Maybe it's useful, but its utility is not proved as far as I know. And liver extract, nimesulide. And then there's something called irrational combinations. You have heard the term irrational? Irrational, you have heard, of course. No, what is not rational? But what is the irrational drug in an irrational combination? Yeah? Just guess. You know wrong answers.
Which have not been proved to have a higher efficacy or to treat a particular disorder in a better way.
Yeah, you are right, partly. The sense of an irrational combination is a combination of drugs which are not really should not be combined first. And they don't, and in fact complicate the treatment because of unnecessary side effects. When you need only drug A, you take drug A plus B. You'll have the side effect. When you don't need B, you will have the side effect of B also. And they have different dosages. They have different time cycles. So you can't combine A plus B. When you need only A. Only those drugs can be combined when there is a synergy between them. Like something like if you have heard of trimethoprim plus trimethoprim plus sulfamethoxam. It's called cotrimoxazole.